What is the production process like? Are you the one making all this music, or are you having somebody do it with you, or what's that process?
Dude, so it's funny you ask about production because I literally had no idea how production worked. And I thought, crap, if I want to release music, I need to learn how to produce all on my own. I have to figure out how to mix, master, do all those
Sure.
things all on my own. And then I realized, like, wait, like there's producers out there that can, like, you can co-write a song together and then they can do the production side. I didn't even know how that worked. So I've been super fortunate to find some tremendously talented producers in Nashville that I've been working with.
Mm.
We've been writing the songs together over Zoom, and then I fly out to Nashville. Probably recently, it's been about like once a month. I'll fly out there, be there for 24 hours, and then just fly back. And that's how I've been writing and producing, or yeah, writing and getting these songs produced. So it's all
That's so
fun.
cool, man. And you know what the benefit to that is, like, you can really hone in on your skill. As somebody, so I kind of grew up on the other side of it, where it's like I started doing music, I don't know, 15 years ago, right? And I at that time I was a 15-year-old kid or whatever, 13-year-old kid, and like I had no money to hire a producer,
Yeah,
so I just slowly started learning it all. And the benefit to that is now I can do everything, but the con to it is like, well, if I just had focused on like songwriting,
Mm,
would I have been that much better of a songwriter? And just like I could sub out, the mix, and like
yeah.
then I could give it to a mixer who's like the best at mixing, and a masterer that's the best at mastering, rather than being a jack of all trades where I'm like good at everything. You know what I mean? I don't
But
know
to
the
your
answer to
point though,
that.
so like that's me with editing. So I really have a
Mm,
fundamental understanding of editing content, video. So like when I'm hiring an editor, I can really spot the BS very quickly. I can tell
that's true.
I
That's
can tell
true.
who's a good editor and who's a bad editor. I can
That's
tell who
true.
can tell a story very well. I think you're in a better spot than me that you've produced because now you can, when you work with a producer, you can quickly see this producer's really good and this one's not that great. And then you can also see like when you find a producer that is pricing themselves fairly versus if someone's
Absolutely. Sure.
trying to rip you off, you're like, okay, like you can just see the price of what they're charging versus their skill set. And I think that really comes in handy.
No, it's phenomenal, man. And you have been making some really phenomenal music, so I'm really excited to see what's coming up. So I have one more question for you. I want to talk about there's a phrase, a quote that says success requires sacrifice. So I'm curious if you could give one example of a time where you've felt like you had to sacrifice and say no to thing, or some hard choices that you've had to make to get where you are now.
Oh, great question. Yeah, I just think like I think the first thing that I needed to do to go all in on social media and go all in on really, I guess, entrepreneurship in a way, which is even weird to say because it's crazy that creatives are
Mm,
also entrepreneurs these days. Like back in the day, I feel like
yeah,
creators weren't entrepreneurs; they were just like
absolutely.
hired by somebody. But I don't know. I think that the key to allowing for what's happened to Abby and I to happen was delaying gratification. I think that's it.
Mm,
I think that was like the number one thing that we had to learn in order to be in a good financial situation to where we could, work unpaid on social media, hoping that we were able to build up an audience and eventually get, sponsors and brand deals and all that. We had to delay gratification to, build up income so that we could take this risk. And so for us in college, that looked like not eating out. That looked like, not doing a bunch of travel. I mean, we did travel some, but we would, do a road trip and bring our Instant Pot
mm.
with us and stay at the cheapest Airbnb we could find
That's
and make
great.
spaghetti out of our Instant Pot while we were staying at the cheap Airbnb. So like, you just have to, rather than getting excited and be like, oh, I have the money, so I'll just buy this thing. You have to be like, I have the money, so I'm going to save that money and allow me to focus on these, bigger picture things. And so that really helped us out, allowed us to get our feet on the ground, and super thankful to my parents for just being an amazing mom and dad. They taught me work
Yeah.
ethic when I was a kid, and my mom encouraged me and my brothers to mow lawns for our neighbors when we were, teenagers, to have our own small business in the neighborhood. So super thankful to them, and also getting married young. I think getting married young
Mm.
forced me to grow up fast,
One
mature.
thousand percent. I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more. I got married at 23, and I completely agree with you. It just puts you in a totally different stage of life and
Yeah.
thinking that other people do. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like the getting married young thing probably played the biggest role, to be honest.
And there are sacrifices that you have to make in that too. Like saying yes to certain things and saying no to certain things, and getting married young. There's pros and cons to both of those
And I
things.
didn't even know that this existed, but getting married young, dude, like we got this thing called the Pell Grant because we didn't have very much money. And so we had no idea we were going to get that, but it was like, oh, I guess we don't make very much of anything. So now we got this grant to help with college. And then we also, like, when
Wow.
we were looking at apartments, we looked at this apartment that like looked, it was a nice apartment. And we thought, man, there's no way we could afford this. And we find out it's low income housing. And we're like, well, we're not low income, so we can't live here. And then I realized, like, wait a second, we are low income. Like, we don't make very much money. Like, this is our spot. So I don't know. We were able to, those resources really helped us
Yeah.
starting out. And yeah, I don't know. It's the getting married thing. Just Abby and I worked throughout our whole entire time
Yeah.
in college, and it just really helped us, yeah, mature quickly.
Absolutely. It couldn't be more true, man. But it's the best.